Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.
Hello and welcome to the Horror Vision, episode number 200.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Oh, cool. I'm the only one clapping.
My name is Sean.
I am Anthony the Appendage.
I'm JT.
I'm Missy.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Tori the Torsion.
Oh,
I had to get another medical thing in.
nice.
So we are all gathered here today to celebrate 200 fucking episodes. I mean, holy shit, that's awesome. And I realize like 100 of them are really like within like the last year or something. Since, I don't know, it's that yeah. But just, you know, since we started, I really feel like we've kind of found the voice of the podcast. And I know for the listeners, they're probably like, every time they do an episode, it's this guy gives it another fucking sub-show name, you know? Like, what the fuck? Whatever. It's all the Horror Vision, and I just have to say, I fucking love you guys. I love the listeners, but I love you people here with me more. Like, I just love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this show, all of you. Like, John, Tori, Anthony, Missy, Ray. I just fucking love you guys.
We love you, Sean.
I love you too.
Just, you know, let's celebrate 200. So I've got...
If I can add one little thing real quick for this. Okay.
Before you do, I just want to say there's an hors d'oeuvre table that it's covered. If you've ever seen the beginning of Takashi Miike's Dead or Alive, that line of coke the guy does. So it's out back.
Oh, okay.
So anyway.
I know I was going to say, Sean's going to do 200 lines for 200 episodes.
There you go.
Ray, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, that's okay. No, the thing I was going to say was, I don't know if it's apparent. I maybe have said it a few times before on episodes, but for the listeners, this podcast and Sean is the reason I became a horror fan. Like, I was always very lightly, like, horror adjacent on things, and I had seen things growing up, but I wasn't legitimately somebody that like sought it out and looked for it and like anticipated its arrival in the cinema. And now, like, every year I look forward to Beyond Fest. When I go to see trailers for movies or look at trailers online, I see things for horror movies and I'm like, oh shit, I want to see that. And I go find out where it is and I go out to see it, or I go to the local AMC, and I'll sit in a theater that only has 2 people and sit there and enjoy it. And like, that's because of this podcast. Like, it was kind of a responsibility and almost a job when we started. And now it's just something I just love. And I can't help it. It's stuck. It's here. And like, I champion to people who aren't horror fans now, look at them and go, it's a great genre. they do things now and take chances and tell stories sometimes in a way that's unconventional but is powerful. Like, you look at a movie like uh Stop Motion and what it's about really at its core, and it's an impressive film. It's a drama, but it's just told in this very horrific way, but it's fucking excellent and powerful film. So, I love this genre. It's exciting and it does impressive, fun things in a way that other things don't.
Well said.
It's a very comforting genre.
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm. Comforting.
I agree.
It's a warm blanket.
A warm blanket.
And speaking of warm blankets, let's get to the things that we love that other people hate.
So for the listeners, the concept for this episode is Missy came up with this, the hill that I die on. And so we kind of worked on how to do this. And so is it like, well, is the hill that I'll die on? I think your original intention, Missy, was like the movie I love that everybody else is like, fuck that
Right.
movie, right?
Mhm.
And then I think it was Anthony was like, well, what about the opposite? Like the thing that I hate that everybody loves. And so we're going to do one round with everybody saying the movie that they love that most people, not everybody. I mean, there's one thing about this genre. So I feel like before rolling, we kind of discovered many of us had issues. To find what we hate wasn't hard, but to find what we like that we felt nobody else liked is tough. And it's because of the genre, because there's motherfuckers walking around out there with t-shirts for every conceivable
Yeah.
movie, whether it's good or bad, right? So there's a fan. So all of us, when we say what we love, there's somebody that's going to be listening that's going to say, like, I don't see what the big deal is. I love that movie. So, but we tried to go with stuff that's like really either maybe everybody else on the show isn't really with it, or it's just we've encountered a lot of friction over the years of our fandom where it's like, you like that fucking piece of shit? I feel like that's kind of that's the tale. Like, you like that fucking
Exactly.
piece of shit? Really? So,
And that's where it
who-
came from for me, because I feel like I didn't have a hard time. Like, I have a couple movies that fall under that category, but I know the movie I'm going to talk about is the movie that made me think of this, because I feel like whenever it comes up, I always have that discussion and I always defend it.
right.
And I like hearing I like hearing people's unpopular opinions.
Yeah. Because it challenges our own. I don't think I'm right about most things. I mean, fucking hate Green Day and I'm right. Like, I'm fucking right. It's a different,
You're
completely
so
different
right.
medium.
Yeah.
Completely different medium. But I mean, I'm just right. Like, I'm right to hate them. And if you like them, you're wrong. I'm sorry.
I
how
like
I
some
f-
Green Day. So
That's how I feel about
you're-
No
that's
Effects.
fine. You
No.
can like Green Day, but
Thanks,
you're
Tori.
wrong.
Sorry. No to
Because
no
I'm a-
effects.
Because I'm a cunt. So, Missy, since this was really your idea, why don't you kick it off? Give us the hill that you'll die on, the movie that you'll say, you'll plant the fucking flag on a pile of bodies and be like, this pile of motherfuckers right here didn't like this movie and question me about it. Fuck them, and here's my movie.
okay. I always defend this movie. Nobody likes it except me, I think. All right. I love the originals too. I'm just gonna put that out there. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, the 2010 one. And I love the originals. I love the whole series. The only one I don't like is part 2. And that's a completely different conversation. But I think there's more going on in it than it just being a remake. I mean, I look at them as two completely different things. But I think this one, I mean, I've always loved the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And I love Robert Englund and I love the campy, goofy stuff he does. But I always like the idea of a dream demon that, fucks with you while you sleep, it can be scary and terrifying. And I wanted to see it as a straight up horror movie with no humor. And I feel like this one captures it well. I think Jackie Earle Haley does a good job giving us a different aspect of Freddy. I like the cast. We've been seeing Kyle Gallner in a lot of horror movies, and I'm always happy to see him. I think him and Rooney Mara both do a very good job. But it also introduces a couple of different ideas. They get into this whole thing about micro naps where you start where you're dreaming while you're awake, which I always thought was a pretty cool take on it. And there's this one scene, the scene that made me decide that, like, that kind of pushed it over. Yeah, you really love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite scenes ever filmed. And there's a scene where Nancy is in a drugstore and she's backing away from Freddy, or she's backing away from him, and he's coming down an aisle, and you're seeing it as he advances. It's flashing between the boiler room and the drugstore. It's like flickering with the lights between these two realities, and I fell in love with it. I don't know. I think it's more than just, there are plenty of garbage remakes, but I feel like this one just had more going on, and I think it's worth giving it a chance. I enjoy it. I can look at it as something else, and I think it gets a bit darker than some of the other ones, because it does take it to a real place. There's a scene at the end where, like, she's been awake for so long, she's not gonna wake up anymore. They've got her friend has an EpiPen, and she's screaming, "Please wake me up!" And it's heartbreaking and terrifying. Like, it just, I don't know, it gets me, and I like it.
That's awesome.
I just really wanted Jackie Earle Haley at some point in that movie to be like, I just wanted to cool off.
Manny.
Yeah,
Um,
Manny.
I think he's great, and I hate the thing where people are like, it's like you hear this about Pinhead. If it's not Doug Bradley, not interested. Guess what?
Right.
Like, Doug Bradley doesn't want to do it, or he's gonna die. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. It's like Robert Englund is Freddy, sure, but I felt like I think the only thing that works against that movie, the thing that works against that movie to me, and I feel like for me at least, I think probably en masse, it's got the stink of the 2000s on it. And I think once that kind of wears off as time goes on, it will be able to be, like, accurately assessed. Because just the whole thing with the parents actually chasing him, that is
right.
I remember that from the trailer. I was like, that's fucking amazing. And certainly, like, it is serious. And I remember saying the same thing. Like, why can't we just have a serious version of this, like the first one?
Nothing against Robert Englund and his version of Freddy. I love that too.
There's room for everything.
Right. It's two different flavors. It's a completely different thing.
Any thoughts on Nightmare on Elm Street 2010?
I just remember walking out of that theater like, fuck, I just wasted my fucking money. I was so mad. I was like, this CGI was terrible.
I didn't even bother. I didn't
It's
even
okay.
bother. It was like after Freddy versus Jason, I just thought, why bother? But then,
Yeah.
I don't know. Missy, you've convinced me. Maybe to at least have a look.
Right. And then you'll watch him. You're like, why the hell did I listen?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry,
I
not
think
a-
I've seen
not a
anything
fan.
so bad that I honestly, like, gotten angry at someone as I'm watching.
You watch Halloween
have.
Ends?
No, I still haven't watched that.
Thinking about it right now is pissing me off. That's one of the only movies where I'm like, this is fucking, I'm going to throw something at my TV. Literally pacing. I was literally pacing. I was so
That's
fucking
awesome.
pissed. Oh, like triggered like Nam flashbacks right now.
Anthony, give
Yo.
us the hill that you will die for love on.
In 2005, George Romero graced us with a new zombie film at the time, Land of the Dead. And a lot of folks went and watched it and were very unhappy with what they got. They got an edited, watered down, rated R cut. And probably within a month, he somehow managed to get his uncut, version of the film on screen. And he did like a forward where he came out and he spoke for a while, and so that was really cool to like see on a big screen Romero like speaking on the tweaks that they did, and kind of in a roundabout way apologizing and saying, here's the full version, like here's my vision. But unfortunately, by that time, people had already gone and seen the R cut and were very, dissatisfied with it, and didn't even bother to try to go back and give it a second go around. And like I said, this happened like within a month. So I was able to go back and watch the unrated cut where, there's the scene where they walk into this little room and this zombie's got his arm halfway down a guy's throat, yanking out entrails. I'm like, this is it. This is the shit that was missing. This is everything that I brag about when I talk of, zombie movies with people. Like when I praise Romero, like this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like the gore is here, the guts are here. And it's just funny because again, talking about this film going forward, we're going on what 20 years now that this film's been around.
Yikes.
People still don't like it. People still are just like, yeah, I gave it a shot one time and I never went back and I don't care and it sucks and X, Y, and Z. And I mean, you watch the movie and it's a fucking circus with what's going on in there. It's crazy, all the shit that he's throwing at you from all different angles. You get his social commentary with classism and et cetera, et cetera. And I like the first time I saw Savini Zombie, I'm like, I'm taking a hot one on the face and I'm loving it. And then I saw I
think that's the most graphic thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah. I love Boyd Banks. He's a great Canadian actor, and I mean, he shows up in the Dawn of the Dead remake, and he's in Pontypool and a bunch of other shit. If you see him, he's a great character actor. So to see him walking around as like the butcher zombie, it was like, that fucking Boyd Banks, fuck yeah! Like, it's just rad, the fan service that he gave to everybody, and he really did go out of his way. And it just sucked over time to see that film get shit on by supposed or alleged Romero fans. And I was like, no, you got to go back and give the unrated cut a go around, because it was fun. It's bonkers as fuck. I mean, but by the end of it, it's like, I get it. Like this has to culminate in like a volcano of just craziness and ultimately, the downfall of whatever's left of society. And he went on to go do Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead. And I know those ones aren't very, they're not seen as favorable amongst a lot of the fans. I'll be honest, Diary of the Dead isn't one of my favorites. I do find the merit in Survival, though. I did like that one. I remember going down to the New Art and checking that one out when it was in its limited theatrical run. That was a fun watch. But I mean, as far as like wide audience release, it's like, when's the last time, when's the next time you're gonna get to see this from fucking Romero? Go. And people poo-pooed it and were like, no, I don't want to. And it sucks. And I've the word of mouth had gotten around by that point, and it was just, it's unfortunate. But I still say to this day, Land of the Dead is like one of those like favorite films of mine. I mean, it's not going to beat the trilogy. Let's all be honest about that. And you're not going to get the old characters showing up again because of rights issues and all this other bullshit. And it's something he said before, where he would like to have this universe and all these characters still doing whatever they're doing, but he was held back by things like that. But he gave it an honest shot. I think he gave us a great fucking zombie film that doesn't get enough credit. And fuck it, I mean, if you want a 4K version of this is on the way right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, if it's not out already. But I still love Land of the Dead for all its flaws and all its bonkers shit, and Asia Argento and fucking fishnets. I mean, come on, what's not to like? So there it is, Land of the Dead 2005, George A. Romero. That's the hill I'll die on. I still love the movie, and I still say that it's great and will defend it. There it is.
That's awesome. I was one of the people that saw it in the theater and didn't like it, but I'm willing to try it again.
Try the unrated cut.
I'll look for it. I will.
It's been so long since I've seen it. I honestly need to give it a rewatch. So I don't remember hating it. I remember like having a good time and thinking, oh, okay.
Yeah, all my
definitely tried
hardcore
it.
buddies were like, it's bullshit, it's stupid, it's sold out, blah blah blah. But I fuck them all.
I don't remember thinking that. I just remember thinking, like, in this world that he made, that is the natural progression of how shit would go down.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I've only seen the movie maybe like 2 times a long time ago, so I definitely give it a rewatch.
Cool.
I rewatched it last year. That was one I waited with bated breath for in the theater, and I left very disappointed. And the reason I remember saying this, I feel like if this was a John Carpenter movie, I would have been fine with it. But I just expected, tonally, it just threw me for a loop. I took your advice last year, I think, and I bought the unrated cut on Blu-ray and watched it and liked it better. And I feel like I wrote something about it. This is one of those movies. It's like Nightmare 2010 or Nightmare 2. There's a bunch of movies that I'm like, I don't know that if this is me or the movie, but I'm going to continue every couple years to check in and watch it and just see how I feel about it. I definitely felt better, but it is so tonally different. And those fucking first 3, every other zombie movie in existence, you can get rid of them. I don't care, as long as I got those 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
The survival and whatever came after, or diary, whatever, I don't remember the chronology. When I heard he restarted the continuity, I was like, I've never watched anything beyond Land of the Dead, because the whole thing about Romero's world is I want to know what it looks like 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later. So when you restart it, I'm like, not interested. And I mean, I guess it kind of sucks and says that I'm more of a fan of the trilogy than I am of Romero. Maybe. I mean, but good choice.
Thank you.
John, give me a hill you're going to die on.
All right. So early 90s, when I was really kind of beginning my film education, film awakening, you kind of become, in the era of VHS of the early 90s, certain production companies, and for one of them is Trimark Pictures. They were the U.S. distributor of Peter Jackson's early films, films such as Warlock, Greg Araki's Doom Generation.
Yes.
And a little film from 1993 called The Leprechaun.
Yes.
That's awesome.
The Leprechaun. Pretty much no one I know actually likes this film. I
like it.
love this film just so much. Everything.
Oh, good.
Warwick Davis. I just, of course, most people know, from Willow, as the titular Leprechaun. Jennifer Aniston, and what I believe is her first film role. Mark Holton, who most people know as Francis Buxton from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And this is a film that it's said that this film scares the shit out of you if you're a kid, and cracks you the fuck up if you are an adult. I was, God, when was I? I was like, I think I might have been like 13 when I first saw this film. I just went straight to crack the fuck up, watching this film. Just everything from, just chasing Jennifer Aniston out of a well and in the hospital with the wheelchair. And now bear in mind, I have not seen any of the sequels. I have not seen two. I haven't seen In Outer Space. I haven't seen In the Hood.
Fabulous. They're fabulous.
They're fun.
Tori, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. I've seen clips of In the Hood before. I could take it or leave it. But yeah, The Leprechaun, love it. Hilarious. Hill I'll die on. Just, what a treasure.
No pun intended.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms. I remember that line. I remember my dad dumping us off at the theater, and I was just like, "Here, I got you guys tickets to go watch this movie. Fucking have a blast." And we did, like, because we were, young kids, and my brother and I were laughing our asses off. And as soon as the second one rolled out, we're like, "Hey, dump us off at that one too." So I backed you on. I backed you on The Leprechaun. Fuck yeah.
The third one in Vegas. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
The third one's in
good.
Vegas.
The
Nice.
third one is in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he fucking Warwick Davis hams it up in all of them too. And he speaks in rhyme in the whole fucking movie. Fabulous. Leprechaun's great. Please watch the sequels, or at least 2 and 3.
I've never seen the original, but I've seen In the Hood, and the only thing I remember about it is I believe it ends with him and Ice-T having a rap off. It is fabulous. Like, just fucking fabulous.
I just think about him hitting the ball. Oh,
Summoning the weed gnome.
yeah. Oh man. Oh, that was brilliant. That was good.
Ray, give us a hill of love that you will die on.
Okay.
Pirate movie.
Well, not
I love
horror,
that
but
part.
yes.
I love
Yes,
that
I
movie.
will. I will. No, God, that would have been such a harder pick if it was like bad musicals, Tori. I would have had like 5 already right now. No. So I'll try to introduce this the same way John did. So I'm taking you back to 1982.
You're 40.
This film has
Got it.
grown in popularity. For those who might remember or were not there, you had 1982 was a pretty big year. You had The Thing, you had Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you had the third in a film series, but the least popular because it's not a slasher, ladies and gentlemen. Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Yeah,
I thought about doing that as mine.
Such a good movie. If it had been named just Season of the Witch and had nothing to do with Halloween as part of that whole film series, it would probably be loved. It would be beloved. People would be like, fucking great. Tommy Lee Wallace is the director, and you've got it's a great movie. Like, it's just so good. There's so much that works about that film. It's creepy as fuck. It's got a really interesting plot. The reveal comes out, like, you're just like, wow, how did you come up with that? Like, I mean, there's so much about it that works. It's just like, the people that hate it, like, whenever I bring it up to them, they're like, well, but it's not the other movies. And I'm like, but that was the point. Like, I'm like, and I have to explain to them usually, like, okay, yes, it's not the other first two. That when Carpenter made that first movie, he was like, oh, now we can make other movies and just have a series of films that just take place on Halloween. But the studio went, we want another one of those movies. So he went and made another Michael Myers film. And then he went, okay, that's fine. We made another one. Now you can go make something else. And someone went off and made something else. Like I said, Tommy Lee Wallace, who was also responsible for The Fog and some other things. And, or not, I mean, as a producer, but, and then people went, oh, bullshit. And you're like, no, give the movie a fucking chance. Take away the title, take away the name Halloween from it, and just go with Season of the Witch and just enjoy it for what it is. It's so interesting. It's so much fun. And it's just, when else are you going to watch a movie where kids have fucking bugs and shit crawling out of their face and that's how it kills them? It's so
Spoiler
creepy.
alert. I'm just
Like, I know,
just kidding.
42 years. I really should have given a warning.
I'm
But
just
yeah,
kidding.
I fucking love that movie, and I will anytime I will argue for that film. I'm like, it's a great movie. It's so worth the time of anyone to watch it.
The ending is so fucking bleak.
Oh,
Too.
Yes!
Yeah.
He's just screaming into that phone. Shut up! Shut up! Oh my god. It's so good.
That, like, the whole scene with the kid and the mask, like in the test room, gave me as a child nightmares for weeks. Like, I couldn't put on a
Yeah.
Halloween mask. I couldn't put on a Halloween mask for a long time. I kid you not. I was like,
really?
yeah, like I was
That's
like, oh my god,
effective.
I'm gonna turn into bugs, you know.
That's effective as fuck.
It really
Oh,
no, that's a
man.
great pick. I honestly
It is.
forgot all about that. That's a great movie.
It is.
Carpenter's
It's so
beautiful
good.
synth score laid over that. That score is incredible.
Yes.
Mhm.
Last year for Halloween, I picked up Shout Factory or Scream Factory's 4K, and I watched that on Halloween. It is so pristine. And,
Yes.
I mean, it is the crispest I've ever seen. That it's beautiful. Definitely invest in that if that's something you want in your collection. That 4K of Part 3 is fucking outstanding, and it's a movie I've always gravitated toward throughout the series because you need a break from the knife. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah,
Yeah.
well said.
it makes perfect sense. So yeah, great fucking pick, dude. Awesome.
Mhm. Really cool take on Halloween and like the lore.
Yeah.
That's a really underappreciated movie, I think.
Oh
Perfect.
yeah, and that's the other thing I love about it is that lore. Like the whole thing of like they're just these like they want to take it back to Sam Hain and sacrificing children.
Like,
I'm
and like they
fucking
stole a
A.
piece of Stonehenge and transported it
Yes!
to Northern
And
California.
they're chipping it
just-
away so they can make this like medallions, and you're like, wow.
It's so
And
weird.
everybody's a goddamn robot? What the fuck? The town is robots? Robots with orange blood?
I love the innkeeper.
Sex
Like
bots.
everybody's so Irish, right? The innkeeper's like, what's the main guy's name? The fucking
Oh,
guy
Atkins
that
character?
no, not Atkins' character. What's his god damn it. The main bad guy. I'm blanking.
Oh, the
He's
guy. Oh, the main bad guy. Connell Cochran.
yeah. Oh, that would be Mr. Cochran now, a fine man that he is. You know, it's like it's so
With a
funny.
shillelagh?
Yeah, but the two things I always think about that movie. Well, where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice? That's a dumb question, Mrs. Grimbridge. And then I saw a shirt recently that had that, and I was like, no,
Oh, nice.
no. But then also, there was a theory between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends that somebody somewhere wrote, like on The Onion or something, that they were positing, what if the reveal is that Michael Myers is like, what if this like retcon series brings in Halloween 3 and he's one of the robots? I was so fucking keeping my fingers crossed for that. I'm like, it's not going to be, but holy shit, would that have been fucking amazing? But, you know.
But we got the abomination we got instead.
Yes. I'm fine with it, but yes, I mean it is an abomination compared to that idea, right? So Tori, give me a hill of love that you will die on.
I'm going to be consistent because I talk about it all the time because I'm so goddamn passionate about it. And this was hard because I had to narrow it down to one. I had Silver Bullet. I don't care. Beowulf. all day. But my hill that I'm gonna die on, and I always will, Exorcist 3, baby.
Yeah.
That movie, okay.
That's
Even
got one
if
of the
you
greatest jump scares ever.
okay, but even if you don't know horror, there's so much imagery from that movie that people have seen and they don't realize, I
Yeah.
think, what movie it's from. Like I did a rewatch. So I rewatched because I had never seen the Legion edition, and then I watched the director's cut, the one I've always seen. And the imagery is so fucking creepy still, all the cinematography. And then I realized in the director's cut, the sound, oh my god, it's fucking creepy. I never realized how great the sound design is in it. Oh, sorry. I love that movie so much. It genuinely is scary. I'm a fan of the book, and it diverts a little bit, but I don't mind. Like, it's still in it at its heart is a lot like the book, which isn't as scary as The Exorcist. But it's so great. It's such a good movie. I know George C. Scott, or he's yelling the whole time, but he's really acting like the character in the original book. Like, it fits, it works.
So you feel like more if like Sean is upset about George C. Scott's performance, then he should go back and blame Blatty because he's the one who wrote it.
Exactly. But and then what's his face's
Dorif.
rendition?
Brad
Yeah,
Dourif?
Dourif
Dourif's
as the
amazing. He
fucking
really is.
as the Gemini killer in it. I think it's such an underrated performance, and he had more of a
Oh, it's
part
my
in
favorite
it.
part of that whole film. When he comes up, it's the whole that it is the whole film for me right there.
Well, what's shitty is
He's so good.
that movie was done, right? The studio didn't like it because it's The Exorcist 3, which is not, it's just called Legion, the book. And they're like, there's no exorcisms. So they had to like scrap the whole fucking ending. They had to rewrite it, reshoot it, and they
Oh.
cut Dorif's part. So
Wait.
Dorif's, yeah. It wasn't supposed to have
The
so
version
mu-
I've seen has Dorif in it, though.
right. That's
The director's cut or something?
he had a bigger part in it
Oh,
initially.
okay.
There wasn't going to
Okay.
be so much of what's it called? What's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name.
Father
It wasn't
Damien?
good. Jason Miller.
Jason
Jason
Miller,
Miller wasn't
yeah.
going to have such a big part in it, but because they wanted to add an exorcism at the end of the movie, they got him back on. They cut out a lot of Brad Dourif's and then filmed more of Jason Miller. But still, Brad Dourif's part in it, I think, is brilliant. It's super underappreciated. He's such a great actor. I don't know. I think it's such a great movie. And there's a lot of characters from the first movie that are in this one too. I don't know. I think it's great. It's beautiful. It's genuinely creepy. Watch it again. Turn it up. Turn off the lights. You're welcome.
I might do that.
Well said.
Well said.
Sean, rewatch it. Just
So
turn it down every time Scott talks.
Is there like a cut that exists that you feel is superior?
Director's cut.
Okay.
I would skip the Legion cut because it's just showing you the footage they found that they had scrapped, and they didn't clean it up so great. And so if you don't mind watching like shitty film and then it going to this,
like work print shit, like the Blade Runner,
yeah,
Ray.
exactly.
Yeah.
I got you. That's also why I like that ultimate cut of Blade Runner, because that goes in and cleans all that up, though.
Yeah, they didn't clean it up, but
that's true.
They're both great, and it just adds like a little bit more. It's not necessary to watch. or read the book. The book is really good. I think it's more about Kinnerman dealing with like all the evil he sees in the world and how he's trying to cope with that. It's really, I don't know, it's really philosophical. It's really cool. I don't know, check it out.
I'm willing to try it again. I haven't seen it in a long time, but there was a Joe Bob version up. So I'll see if it's still up there. I'd be willing to watch it again if Joe Bob does it.
My worlds are colliding.
Nice.
Just kidding. I'm joking.
Sorry, I also can't stand George C. Scott. But I'll try it again.
Constantly screaming at you.
Yeah, he does not speak. He just shouts
He just yelled through the whole movie.
every movie.
Big plane.
Called voice modulation.
I got that. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you.
So my hill of love is Bob Clark's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And
That's a great movie.
to me, going back to my statement earlier, you could throw every other zombie movie away as long as I get the first three Romero movies, Night, Dawn, Day. The fourth movie on the list that I would, if I was, divinely challenged to rid the world
Divinely.
of zombie movies, I would say we have to keep these three, Night, Dawn, Day. Any more that you would like to keep? God says. And I'd say, well, Mr. Imaginary Friend. Yeah, Bob Clark's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. I just think it is a fucking, it is such a low budget masterpiece. You have to get past the fact that some people are dressed like Bill Ward on the cover of Sabotage. Like the one guy, the one guy is dressed in the most ridiculous fucking clothes, but it's the 70s. Everybody's so fucked up that they can't dress themselves, essentially. But I think that movie, the fucking Moog soundtrack, I'll never forget the first time I saw it. Like, it just startled me. It felt transgressive. And I don't know, I just think it's a fucking masterpiece. It's like a masterpiece that's like, you see somebody build like the Taj Mahal with like broken popsicle sticks. That's like what it is to me. Like, it's just such a mangy masterpiece. But and the act, I mean, the end of that where Ormsby feet, and it's Ormsby and his wife plays the hippie chick who's like clearly tripping balls as they're fighting their way up the stairs and from the zombies, and he just feeds her to them to get away. Like, it's, oh my God. I love that movie so fucking much. And it's just maligned. I mean, the DVD version I have is one of the first DVDs I bought in the early 2000s, and it's on like a fucking double disc with like the Underkeeper's friends, or I forget what it is. And it's just not very, it's just an afterthought, really, I feel like, in the genre. And I just think it's a fucking masterpiece. So that's my hill of love.
I saw it once when we first became friends. You suggested that movie, and I still feel like it's one of the very few times you've steered me wrong. I get that you love it. I get that you love it. And I should give it another try because at this point it's been like 15, 20 years, and my tastes have changed quite a bit. I'm a lot more.
Wait, didn't you rewatch it a couple years ago?
No, I've only seen it once. And I mean, when we first met, I was like 20. Like, that was a while ago, and I watched it and remember thinking, all right, how high was Sean when he watched this movie?
Oh, the first time I saw that movie, I was fucking high as fuck. High as fuck. HAF. But here's how you gotta watch. It's no interruptions. Turn off all the fucking lights, get super fucking stoned, turn your phone off. Don't even go for snacks. Just keep a fucking bottle of water in case you need to just lightly nip at it, to if you're parched. It's not a long movie, but I feel like it is, and there's just a stylistic element to it that, oh God. Anyway, enough.
I always liked how it starts off. You're like, oh, it's kind of funny. It's going to be like a horror comedy, and then it changes, and you're like, oh, okay, all right.
Wait, it is. It's got a weird, like, there is a weird tone to it because there is a levity to it until a certain point, and I feel like, I don't know, man. Okay.
I love Bob Clark. He's just so fucking all over the place. It's great.
Dude, I just watched Death Dream. I'd never seen it before. And it's not nearly as good as Black Christmas or Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, but it's pretty good, like, for what it is. And it's, again, super grimy, low budget 70s flick. He just excelled at that.
Porky's #1.
Yeah, well.
Porky's forever.
Okay, so let's reverse the streams now. We're going to go with the hill of hate that we will die on. I'm going to start it. And I wish I had done the order of the hill we love differently, because mine, there's, like we talked about earlier, there's so many films. Like, it's easier to hate something. And I feel like all of us are pretty good at giving things reassessments and challenging ourselves. Why do I hate this? Whatever. Sometimes you just hate something. I fucking hate The Exorcist 3. I mean, oh my God.
You just Uno reversed me.
And as soon as you said it, I was like, oh shit, because now I feel like it's like we're in Mortal Kombat or something all of a sudden, right? Like, but that was the one. I could have talked about The Changeling, because I fucking hate The Changeling too, and I don't get I just don't get what people see in it. But my God, Joe Bob showed it, and I was like, okay, this is a good time for me to reassess. I'm gonna watch it with Joe Bob. I turned this shit off. And the opening scene with the fucking helicopters flying against the fucking setting sun, I'm like, what did you think you were making? Apocalypse Now? Fuck you. Like, oh, I've watched it 3 or 4 times in my life. It's got the best jump scare ever, which was on every commercial for the movie the year it came out. So it surprised nobody. Like, they just, the scene with Dorif, he's great, but the scene, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, he's got this great dialogue that is just robbed by the fact that it means nothing, because nothing in the movie means anything. It's just, and George C. Scott, I'll never, Dr. Strangelove, that's it. And I'm even wondering now, it's been a while. Like, I don't even know if now my hatred has grown to the point, where I would challenge that, but God, I doubt it. But my God, I don't know. I could see the creepy, and it's just robbed by all this other shit. And I just think, when you said read the book, I'm like, oh, maybe. And I'm not challenging your opinion at all. Not at all. This is just me. I love that you love it. That's what makes all of us individuals. I'm not saying I'm right. This isn't a Green Day scenario. I'm not saying I'm right. But God, I just I hate it so much. And he sucks so bad. He just sucks. He just sucks. He's like Jack White. Everybody's like, Jack White's such a great guitar player. No, he's not. He just turns the volume up and fucking jerks off. He's like, people are like, oh, that's amazing.
Sure.
No,
Sean, I wish I could high five you right now.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I
love
have
when you get into the things you hate. It's so
George
much.
C.
It's so
Scott.
entertaining.
I just want to walk up to George C. Scott, grab him by the fucking package, and be like, act now, motherfucker. Act.
And he starts yelling at you still.
Yeah, he'd be like, ah, the fish and the rabbi, or whatever.
You
I don't
can't
know.
even grab my dick like a man.
Oh, yeah. I
Like,
just,
oh,
man, I wish it is one of the
I
best jump scares of all time, easily. And it was on the commercials, so I just, sorry.
yeah, that's true. Oh no, you know what? I think as long as you give it a try,
I'll
that's all
try
that
it again.
matters.
I'll try it again. I know it.
I'm not gonna force you.
No,
Just
Tori,
read the
but this
book.
is it's another one of those. So I am in my head when you said that, I'm like, maybe I should read the book. I hope William Peter Blatty writes better books and he does direct movies. Does the book open with apocalypse
It
noon
probably does.
or like 6 a.m. Three Tomahawk helicopters
It-
against the
and here,
setting sun.
but here, okay, so I'm gonna defend it. The here's one thing though about that movie is it's fucking proof, or it just shows how a studio 2 interjects and fucking ruins things. Because you think about it, what if we had everything he wanted in his story? It might have been a lot better.
Yeah,
And did
maybe for sure.
Carpenter was approached for that job, and he was going to take
Really,
it, but he saw how much Blatty wanted to do it, and he was like, "Go for it, bro."
that's interesting.
But can you imagine too what that would have been as a Carpenter film? Kind of cool.
That's a really interesting tidbit because I can't imagine what it would have been like. That man, wow.
I can, but I can't imagine George C. Scott. Maybe Tom Atkins.
Yeah, I
No,
was just gonna say, hopefully
it would have been
Carpenter would be
Kurt
like,
Russell.
yeah, well,
He's like, yeah, but can I cast somebody else like Tom Atkins? And they're like, I don't know, George C.
well,
Scott. And he's like, yeah, I'm out.
who do you want to cast, Mr. Carpenter? That's a dumb question, Mr. Blatty.
Damn, Atkins save some pussy for the rest of us.
That's like the fog. Like he picks up Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, where are you going? There's like a cut to something else, and they cut back. They're like in bed. Like,
Yes.
Just in bed
geez, wow.
smoking.
Yeah,
thrill me. I said, "Oh, thrill me."
Uh,
Oh man,
I'm fine.
that was fun.
Tori, I
That
guess
was
because,
fun.
and I'm not in no way.
Should we go
I'm
in
not,
complete reverse order? So then Corey goes next, and then I go next.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna offer to Tori because please, because I didn't mean, like, I don't want to be perceived as I came at you. Like literally that was
Oh.
my one in the pocket. So when you said it, I was like, oh shit, man, gang wars.
Came at her. Come at her, bro.
Tori, give me a hill.
It takes a lot to offend me. All right, a hill I fucking hate.
Yes.
Man, this is really hard to narrow it down to just one because I have a list of 7 in front of me.
Do they all share a commonality? Maybe.
No.
Oh,
Man. Okay, one that everybody loves, and I saw it, and everybody was sucking its dick so hard. So I went and saw it, and I've watched it a couple times, since then, just to make sure I'm just not being a hater, because let's be real, I am a hater most of the time. Is the fucking Blair Witch Project. Hate it. Hate it. I don't think it's scary. Hey, oh no.
Oh my God, that's
I made money.
amazing.
That was my
Wow.
money. I summed it up for you. Like,
For
know
those of you at home, she picked up her phone and she shook it while she's on her Zoom call.
Jesus
and it looked
Christ.
exactly like the
Camera
movie.
work of Blair Witch.
Where's my money?
I thought you were being pursued by the Blair Witch through your room.
It's in the corner. She's just standing there in timeout. Like, I understand the phenomenon, why, whatever, film footage. No, you started this fucking genre that everybody ruined and kicked the dead horse. It's just not good. It's not
I
scary.
agree with you.
And
I
everybody,
totally,
no, okay, the ending of it, like, oh, cool. What are we at, a noise show in Chicago? Wow. Like, that's what it was like. Oh,
I
I
can
just don't
understand
under.
where you're coming from, Tori, because like I remember the first time watching it in the theater, and like I remember hearing ahead of time that the actors weren't given like an actual script; they were given a basic concept. So as they're talking, this is them being real, and I was like, I wish there was a script. Like I was like sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, this just sounds like a bunch of assholes arguing with each other, like would actually sound like. And I'm like, I got it. I've actually been in that scenario before where we're lost and I'm arguing with a friend and being like just pissy about it and they're being pissy back. I don't need to live through someone else actually doing it as a film. Like, make a fucking script and have it written, and then you can make a movie. Like, this whole like no just play off your character like was pissing me off as I was watching it. I was like, what the hell is this?
It's only popular because when it came out, it was the dawn of the internet, and they took advantage of that, which I don't blame them. I think you should, for the marketing. That's the only reason why. Otherwise, it's like, oh wow, it's these people disappeared. Oh, this is a real movie. We found it. Yeah, like fucking like a guinea pig. Flowers of Flesh and Blood didn't do that like 10 years before. Come on,
Well,
don't like
actually,
it.
what's his name got taken to court for the one with the cannibal
Cannibal
holocaust.
Holocaust.
Yeah, the director had to take the actors to they took him to court, and he had to bring the actors in and show them, no, this is a movie. There's the actors. Like, they're not dead. I didn't make a snuff film. Like, so yeah, the whole found footage thing was done before. Like, you're right.
It only became popular because it just came out at the right time. That's all I got to say
Agreed.
about that.
I love it, but agreed.
Part 2 is better. I said it.
I agree with you on that too.
That goth chick's worth the price of admission.
The dude from Burn Notice is in it, and like it's got a sick fucking goth new metal soundtrack. Part 2 all day. My
Now you're convincing me
controversial
to see part
yet
2.
my controversial yet correct opinions. I'm just kidding.
I don't think
I'm
that's
kidding,
super
I'm kidding.
controversial.
No,
I
I'm
stand
just-
by being the second scariest movie I've ever seen, right behind The Exorcist. But
The Exorcist 3.
no,
Your Salite paralysis demon is going to end up being George C. Scott, just yelling at you. Go to bed, Sean.
make it stop! Turn it off! Ray,
All these nightmares.
Ray, give me a hill of hate.
Ooh, okay, a hill of hate. I was thinking about this one, and I was trying to narrow it down because some of the stuff I've talked about before. So, I guess all right, I'll go with it because even though I've talked about it before, House of a Thousand Corpses, I can't stand it. I know it's a quality. I admit it's a quality film. There's shots in it that I think are excellent. That whole sequence where he executes the cop is great.
Walton
Yes.
Goggins.
Yeah, that's a great little piece of film. Like, just that scene itself is, mwah. But I just can't stand it. It's just wantonly cruel. It's mean spirited. Like, the humor doesn't hit for me. I just sit there. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times, and every time I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? And it's usually because someone's like, oh, you got to give it another shot. And I'm like, all right, I want to be fair.
Let's face it, Ray, that someone is me. That someone is probably me.
You're not the only person. Trust me, you're not the only person. You usually, because what happens is, it's not, if it's just for you, I'd be like, it's just Sean. And I'd be like, I'm not going to give it a rewatch just because of that. it's usually like two or three people. It's like three or four people that like I know I said two or three first, but it's usually like two or three start saying it, and I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. And then like it gets to like four, and I'm like, I guess I should give it another shot. And then I've heard it so many times that like how much people like it, and then I'm like, okay, let me go watch this again. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I still don't like this. I still don't like this. Like it's just I can't get past it. I can't get into like he so wants me to sit there and root for these scumbag killers. And I'm like, I can't root for these people. I just can't. I'm like, why aren't you letting me root for these kids and letting them try to get away? I'm like, oh man. The movie is clearly so in love with the monsters in it and the human monsters, not just the Dr. Evil or what's his name? Dr. Death?
Dr. Satan.
Dr. Satan.
Dr. Satan.
Yeah.
My apologies, Dr. Satan. It's it's not just in love with that, it's also in love with this family, and I'm just like, I can't get behind this. Ugh. So yeah, that's mine. There you go. I'll
I
admit, if people think I'm wrong, but you know what? I can't.
No, you're not wrong.
I can't do it. I can't stomach it. I can't.
you know
Ugh.
what? I don't agree with you, but I understand because
Yeah.
I have that movie on my list of things I love that I know a lot of people hate because I know a
Oh,
lot
really?
of people don't like that movie. Yeah, House of Thousand
Ooh.
Corpses. That okay, so I saw that movie like 3 times in the theaters when it came out, right? I really enjoyed it. I have never to this day been to a movie where I've seen so many people walk out as House of Thousand Corpses. I saw so
Really?
many fucking people walk out of that goddamn movie.
That's
And then
crazy because most of the time when I talk to horror fans, that's like
That-
up
that's
there
so
on my list of loves. So
You know
that's
what?
surprising to me.
I wouldn't have you watch House of Thousand Corpses if I think the one you would enjoy would be Lords of Salem. I really think you would like that.
I'll check that out.
Yeah. Lord
That
Salem's great.
Lords of Salem is fucking awesome. And I don't like all the zombies movies, but those two. Yeah, understandable though,
enough.
Ray.
Fair enough. Cool.
John, give me a hill of hate.
So Sean, you've been very vocal to me about your dislike of The Godfather. And in doing so, you have often quoted the great Peter Griffin from Family Guy saying that the film insists upon itself. Allow me to give you another quote from Family Guy. Okay, they're in the woods. The camera keeps on moving. I think they were looking for some witch or something. I don't know. I wasn't listening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Something about a map. Nothing's happening. It's over. A lot of people in the audience look pissed. So what can I say about the Blair Witch Project that Tori hasn't already said?
No, say it. Say it.
This film is
Say it all.
essentially it is the original viral tweet.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
This film was a marketing
It
gimmick.
really is.
I went in it. I went into it with like, having heard all of these stories just about how badly it fucked with people's minds and how scared it was, how people thought it was real. And at the end of it, I just turned to my friend and I was like, so? And the found footage genre, I mean, one could argue it originated with Texas Chainsaw,
Yeah.
in so many ways. And then of course Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, the Spanish film Wreck, from 2007, I really like.
Yeah.
Even the
Paranormal-
remake too.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity, I could take it or leave it, but I could take it or leave it, but yeah, Blair Witch Project, no, never liked it.
Thank you. Terrible.
I love that. The Peter Griffin quote. That's fucking fantastic.
was great.
Goddamn. That was great. I can vividly remember you recreated it so perfectly, John. I will just say the one thing about the Blair Witch that I feel like maybe led me, not that I feel like I need to explain it, but I've said this I think on here before. I read about it before all of the marketing happened. So I knew it wasn't real. So I know so many people that have vitriol for it because they're like, oh, they said it was real or whatever. And like I went into it knowing that because I had read it was like there was a Rolling Stone article about it before it came out. And I remember like dragging my friends and what the fuck year did that come out? 99?
99.
Damn.
That was a
Like-
that was a really good summer. It's like
Yeah.
it was like one good thing after another. I mean, as soon as you got like the Phantom Menace stank off of you, you got you got I saw Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. I saw Run Lola Run.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
Good call.
one good
Fucking
film
love
after
that
another.
movie. I've seen in years.
The two most overrated films from 1999 were The Blair Witch Project and American Beauty. And it just and just really kind of eventually getting around to The Sixth Sense kind of, but I won't get into that. And yeah, it's now I will say this. I mean, to its credit, it did. I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it original, but I would call it innovative and inspirational for a new generation of filmmakers.
Definitely.
I will appreciate it at the very least for that.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I
And for
appreciate
low
it being
budget.
yeah, exactly for doing that. But do better. I'm just kidding.
Do better. Anthony.
I think John
That was fun.
encapsulated it with his one-word review of so.
Yeah, when you said that, I literally pictured that. I just pictured lights come up, people leaving, like as if it was a New Yorker comic strip, right? And then just you're like this, like, so.
Yeah. 18-year-old John, just like so.
Oh my god. When is the scary part happening? Even like I was like 14 when it came out and everybody's talking about it and you're being 14 you're a little insecure and you're like did I miss something? Am I the idiot because everybody else likes it? Then I really know.
I honestly think actually over the years I think more people I talk to now don't like it or don't remember it favorably. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But it is one of those movies, and I like tested this, not because I was like, I need to test it, but because for years it would be one of those movies where I would, it's going to be that movie tonight. And it's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm by myself. I'm going to fucking smoke a bowl. I'm going to shut off all the lights and I'm going to watch this movie and not move. And in that environment, it always affects me exactly the same way. So it's consistent for me, for sure. Part of that too is knowing that like they were fucking with those actors. There is actual human fear imprinted on that celluloid at times. And I don't know, it really, John, I think it was definitely like a big thing for young filmmaker. Like I remember that had inspired me. It was like when I was going to Columbia College Chicago, it was like me and this guy Diego that were in the sound department. We were going to film something where I forget, he was from Michigan, I think it was, or Wisconsin. There was like an abandoned insane asylum. And they're all, it's like all these rumors, right? Growing up, I'm like, Diego, let's check out equipment from the fucking sound, from the video department. We'll hook up with somebody that can run the camera. let's just go and do something where we go and fucking stay there for the night. Let's just do that and see what happens. And it ended up not happening at the last minute. It's kind of like one of the big. I wish I had handled it differently because I maybe could have had a different outcome, but you know, I mean, whatever. Anyway, but it definitely inspired me.
Quick question here. Who here knows what devil hunting means? The term devil hunting. It's when you do mushrooms and you spend the night in the cemetery.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Think-
I've always been kind of curious to see, like, if somebody, some film students decided to do that and just sort of recreate the experience afterward.
Friday night, John. I'll see you. We're
All right.
doing
I'm game.
it. I was just kidding. I have to get home.
You know,
Oh,
you
we'll
get a
get you
bad piece
home.
of fish and it's poison, you'll basically trip balls, right? So
Huh.
you go from the sushi place to Romulus to, well, there's, I don't know what cemeteries are in the South Bay. I mean, I know there,
Yeah. And what's the one in Pedro?
Green Hills.
Greenhouse.
there you go.
There's some author is buried there. Is it Kerouac?
Oh, I
Couldn't
just
tell you. My grandma's buried there. She's pretty cool.
ask her.
She gave me a My Pet Monster in 1985, so she's aces in my book.
Nice. Anthony, your
Oh,
grandmother
that's
is your
great.
grandmother is aces in your book.
Absolutely.
What is not aces in your book? What hill will you
Oh,
die
wow.
on? What
What
hill
a
of hate?
transition.
That
What
was
hill
so
of
good.
hate?
Fucking hate Back to the Future and all of its fans. No,
Oh, wait.
I thought about it hard. I hate that movie actually, but as far as like the genre stuff we're talking about here this evening, I narrowed it down to two. And you and I have had this discussion before about reading American Psycho and watching American Psycho. They are two completely separate fucking
It's
things.
it's
I
an
don't
epic
know.
fail.
I'm just like, where's the rats? Where's the fucking rats? Like
The
it's-
habit trail.
I
This is a
It-
rat-free movie.
Where's SeaWorld?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, and it again, it's a tie, and so again, Rob Zombie creeps his way onto the scene again for the Devil's Rejects, and I thought it was one of the worst fucking theatrical experiences I've ever had.
Oh,
And
Sam.
I actually enjoy House of a Thousand Corpses. I enjoyed it for its spectacle. I feel like House of a Thousand Corpses is much like his live show. It's very animated. It's very just explosive with the wall of fucking craziness that he throws at you. I love it. I get it wears its fucking, influences on its sleeve, and I appreciate that. It's okay for what it is. Like Ray said, I can't root for these pieces of shit for an entire second film. It's so fucking difficult to get through, especially with how cruel they are, et cetera, et cetera. And don't get me wrong, I consume a lot of media where it's like, yeah, it's cruel for the sake of being cruel, but it just doesn't fucking work for me on any level. And I'm sorry, total abuse of Freebird at the end of a fucking film. Fuck him for doing that. I hate that he did that to me. I hate that he did that to my friends that were close by me. And that's probably why in life we all went our separate ways and we're not friends today. I actually bless So I hope that we as a group never watch the Devil's Rejects together, because I mean, entropy. That's what that film is. It's fucking entropy. So fuck that movie.
Damn, that was going to be my next Element pick.
Really? No, I know.
But
I know.
something that also bothers me about the movie is the fanfare, and unfortunately, a lot of the fans that gravitate towards those style of like grimy films, and it's just I don't know what it is.
It's like
about-
Pantera fans.
You hit the nail on the fucking head.
Yeah, you did. I'm a fan,
You
but
really did.
of
You really
I'm a
did.
fan of Devil's Rejects, but you did hit the nail on the head.
You hit the fucking nail on the head. I don't know what it is, and I mean, I try not to argue, but with folks like that, I don't want to argue with that, because I'm glad that we all enjoy horror together for and that we all have that common ground. it's cool. But there's just something about it, you know, when I get into a conversation with folks and they're like, "Yeah, I love House of a Thousand Corpses," and I'm like, "Cool." And then they talk about, and he just did so much better with the next film, and I'm like, I shut down at that point. I'm like, well, you know, I've got to go
Yeah.
give myself a hysterectomy. Or
I
something.
no, you say I've got to go return some videotapes. I'm sorry, I have to cut this conversation short.
I've got to wash my hair tonight. I'm busy. So that's the tie. And no offense to those who love those films. I can't get on board with the second movie. I think I got through maybe 10 minutes of the third film and never fucking bothered with it again. Same thing with 31. I just didn't
Three
like
from
that.
Hell.
Yeah, exactly. Like that one, 31. I'm
can't-
sorry.
I can't.
I didn't like Lords of Chaos. It just doesn't matter. Or what that
No, Lords of Salem.
Sorry. Lords of Salem, exactly. I couldn't get into it. He lost me a long fucking time ago.
Don't be sorry.
But yeah, American Psycho and Devil's Rejects, just sorry. Can't do it, won't do it, don't like it.
You know,
Hate
the
it.
thing that I think is a disconnect that maybe he doesn't get is that, or maybe it's just the way he watched these films and rooted for these monsters and things, is that like there's plenty of horror where like your lead character is not reliable or starts to do despicable things, and you're still oddly rooting for them, and it's because they spend time like making them sympathetic, and they spend time like showing their descent into the madness that they eventually grip themselves in. Like you don't hate the lead in Censor by the time the movie's over. You kind of feel like a remorse for her. And it's the same as like Stop Motion or even Saint Maud, where like she starts and you're like, this chick's nuts, but I can kind of understand where she's coming from. Whereas those characters, you're just like, I don't know if I ever am gonna like these people. I don't think there's a way to like these people. And just it's a bridge too far to jump across and go, oh yeah, no, it's great. Let's root for him, yay! Like you're like, no, I can't.
I just don't understand the fanfare behind it, or the fans that gravitate toward those characters and gain enjoyment from it. I don't get it. I never have.
Yeah, I was so disappointed with Devil's Rejects. The only good part of Devil's Rejects is them including Terry Reid's Seed of Memory at the end of the fucking movie.
Yeah. Oh god, it's such a great song.
Because
Oh
nobody
my God.
fucking knows. Yeah, that
Oh my god, it's like
soundtrack.
I will say, like, I'll never forget seeing that in the theater, and just almost like what John said with Blair Witch, where I remember turning to my friend Dennis and going, so like I was so, you know, so
right.
it would be like if I'm a diehard Star Wars fan in 1977, right? Fuck yeah. Oh, there's a sequel coming out in 1980. Okay, I'm waiting for it. I go to sit down, and it starts with Han, Chewie, Luke, and fucking Bespin Bitch, whatever the fuck their names are, crashing in the desert. Crashing in the desert, and the whole movie's a Western, and there's no mention of anything from the other movie, right? And they're just like toiling and like, you know, riding camels and fighting for what, and you're like, I mean, the Darth Vader? No? Okay. I guess not. I guess, okay. I mean, he just shirks all of the, I love House for the spectacle. You said it the best. It's 100%. I showed that movie to people for years, not realizing in my head how disturbing it was. I showed it to my sister. I'd lend it to younger people at work who said they liked horror movies. Always got these weird responses, didn't put it together. And then, like, literally like 3 years ago, I watched it again. I watch it probably every year, and I was like, my God, this movie's so fucked up. How did I never notice that before? It's so cruel and fucked up. But I was so seduced by the neon spectacle, right? And I thought everybody would just take it at that level, but it's really, really, really fucked up. And Devil's Rejects is grimy as fuck. And I just remember seeing him being like, what the fuck happened to Dr. Satan? What? But
yeah, that House had that redeeming quality of having this cool like lore.
Oh,
and
that ending is just the most fucked up shit of all time.
Dr. Satan, like all these people underground, like, okay, cool, okay, this is interesting.
And the people that are like, it's just fucking Freudenberg or what Freudenstein from House
Oh,
by
yeah, it's
Cemetery.
House by the Cemetery.
Yeah, except when she goes down there, she wades through the fucking like chest deep water, climbs out, and there's like a waiting room in a fucking doctor's office. It's like,
Mummy.
what is happening right now? It's so fucking weird. And then Devil's Rejects just like, the only thing I don't like about Devil's Rejects, other than having to adjust to not following through with any of that stuff he set up in the first movie, is William Forsythe just sucks. He just sucks. He just sucks. But I got to tell you, I hated Freebird, and that movie, it saved the song for me. It just, I don't know, but you're definitely not wrong. It is.
Yeah, don't watch that movie with friends. It'll tear you apart.
It's a fucked up movie, and yeah, I know.
Maybe it's like a personality test, who watches it, who really likes the Firefly. You're like, oh, can't. Red flag people can't.
I mean, I don't root for any of them. Definitely. I mean, but I think that's the other weird thing about his movies. I don't think he wants you to root for him. I don't know, it's weird. He's a weird dude. He makes questionable decisions, but I usually end up liking them to some degree. Not always, but sometimes. Missy, Hill of Hate.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah, everybody was saying they had a hard time thinking of what their. I know exactly what my movie was. My cousin and I have long ago decided we can't discuss this movie anymore because we'll fight.
Oh,
Well, he gets very argumentative, and then I push back. I don't like The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick one. I can't fucking stand it.
Understandable.
I almost said it.
I love the cinematography and the set pieces. The visuals are great. That's about it. I mean, I'm not big on Kubrick to begin with, but this is lauded as one of the best horror films of all time. Stanley Kubrick took that book, took Stephen King's novel and butchered it and cut out half the story.
More
Because
than half.
yeah, because I mean, in Kubrick's version, he tells the story of Jack Goes Crazy. The book is about a lot more than that, and it's just as much Danny's story as it is Jack's. And the Kubrick version doesn't even make it very clear that, like, the hotel also shines, and so does Jack. It's using Jack to get to Danny to eat his shine.
Yeah.
He was disrespectful to Stephen King. He felt that this was his brilliant masterpiece, except Kubrick didn't write it. He's adapting Stephen King's novel. If he wanted to just tell the story of Jack Goes Crazy, he could have written that. So it bothers me. And then Flanagan came along. He did Dr. Sleep. I think he fixes most of what Kubrick broke, in my opinion. I love Dr.
Yes.
Sleep, the book and the movie. I think it's the better film.
It's a great movie.
I mean, The Shining is a well-made movie, but it's not a movie I like. And I know most people consider it to be one of the best horror films ever, and I don't get it. But that's
I'm
okay.
I'm there for you, Missy. I am.
I don't agree, but I understand. I totally understand. And I feel with
It's the 70s horror movie, meaning that like everything else in the 70s, why does it take so long to get to the fucking point? It
But-
just meanders. Like it takes so long. Everything in
And
the
to me-
70s does that. And it drives me crazy.
it's the another thing. I don't think I dislike it as much as you, Misty, but the thing about that movie too are the fucking people that overanalyze that movie. Like I made the mistake of
Ooh,
watching
that's a good
Room.
call too.
Well, I made the mistake of watching that fucking documentary Room
Turned it
237.
off.
I had after like an hour because I was like, really? We're gonna fucking this it represents that? You were really grasping at straws here. And I'm like, this is killing it for me. This come on.
My cousin who loves that movie, he he made me watch the documentary with him. I got about
Oh
halfway through it.
no.
I think that's the day we had the fight and decided not to talk about it anymore. Um,
The labyrinth and the
because he thinks
Minotaur
that
and Jack is the
documentary,
Minotaur.
it's
Mm.
all. He thinks Stanley Kubrick is some brilliant genius who he didn't even write the story, and I hate
Missy,
it. I hate it.
Missy, I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna put my cards on the table here and say, I think The Shining is a cinematic masterpiece. And I think the documentary Room 237 is the biggest piece of shit that I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's just complete evidence that anyone
Mhm.
with like some crackpot idea gets like, some kind of spotlight, in this day and
Yeah.
age. And, it's just like, ugh. So I, I, I'm not with you on this one, Missy, but like I totally get what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
I'm totally not like, what are you talking about? No, totally get it.
I was gonna say that like that's why I've never watched that documentary because after hearing like you and some other
Don't.
people talk about it, like I'm
Yeah.
like
No.
it sounds like an hour. It sounds like however long it is. It sounds like someone committed to film like all of like all those little fucking reels that you can see on like Instagram or like YouTube of someone giving their like analysis of something where they're like,
That's what
did
it
you
is.
know in like this movie that this happens and like you wouldn't catch that, did you? And I'm like, well, I guess that's kind of cool. But like doing that for like however long that movie is kind of ridiculous. Like how are you going to give a spotlight to anyone, any crackpot that just comes up with an idea and be like, "Oh, this is it"? And you're like, "Come on, man!"
Yeah,
Well,
Well,
Like,
some
I
of
for
think
him
it
to
was like
try and
it was like a
use
mixtape
that,
version of like the
yeah.
worst YouTube video essays you've ever seen.
because
yeah, that
it
sounds
came
like
out
it.
before that was a thing, right? So, or like at the very dawn of that. So,
I think at the
but
very dawn of it,
I think that's the point. I'm not defending it because I turned it off. I was like, fuck this movie. This is it, like, really? Why are we letting these idiots speak? But I feel like that must have been the point. But it's one of those things where it's like, but the point's dumb. So why did you end up giving them a spotlight? So it might be the point, but it's stupid. So, I will say, Missy, one thing. I love The Shining, and it's instrumental in my love of film and horror. But I don't. I think one of the big problems with that movie is when people are like, it's a horror masterpiece. I don't think yes, it's a horror movie, but barely.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I have associations with Halloween because for years. It was no matter where I went, I would be in different states on different and it was on. It was just on. Like you're at a party, it's on. Oh, it's on this year too. It's you know, um, but it's really not. I mean, it is a horror movie, but it's not. It's not really. And all that that's kind of an early version of like the elevated horror bullshit. But Kubrick he set out to make a Kubrick movie and it has the trappings of a horror movie and he totally pisses because I've read the book and I love the book. He and I think intentionally pisses on King, which I don't appreciate. Like I think that like one artist to another don't do that.
I will recommend for any of you that are interested, and any of the listeners that are interested, check out on YouTube Cinema Tyler. He has one, I mean, he does like a lot of Kubrick stuff, especially like with 2001 and the making of Clockwork Orange. But he has this one video about the writing of the screenplay for The Shining and about with Diane Johnson, because it was Diane Johnson who was like a professor of Gothic horror that co-wrote the screenplay, and it really kind of goes into the process with them, their collaboration, what kind of books they were reading about fairy tales and about dreamscapes and everything. And that's, you know, it definitely, it won't change your mind, Missy, like that I know, but it is interesting nevertheless, just to check it out. I recommend that.
Okay. I'd be willing to check it out. I mean, I don't have a very good track record with Kubrick. The movie I find most favorable is 2001, and I don't think I like anything else. But I mean, I like hearing about how people make films. And I mean, I'm okay with seeing it from a different perspective. But I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I've read most of his books, and I think he butchers that book. But
Did you read The Shining before you saw the movie, or vice versa?
no, I saw the movie first.
Okay.
I did not read The Shining until Doctor Sleep came out, and I wanted to read Doctor Sleep. So I read The Shining.
Oh, I remember that actually. That's right. 2010.
Or I may even have, because I already knew the story of The Shining and I didn't much care for the movie. I may have, and I don't remember, I may have read Doctor Sleep first, fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite Stephen King novels, like top 3. And then read the Shining novel and kind of went, okay, like, why'd he change the ending? Why'd he do all these things that don't work? But because I don't understand why he swapped the ending out for Jack freezes in the snow. It's anticlimactic.
And he doesn't have to tell you why either. I feel like that's his attitude. He's like,
Yeah, that would definitely be.
Story had a much more climatic ending.
It would definitely be his attitude. Just out of curiosity, it's in your top 3. Are your top 3 Pet Sematary, Dune McKee, and that one?
Gerald's Game.
That's a great one.
Pet Sematary is in my top 5, but you're right, except for it would be The Talisman.
Okay.
Those are my top 3: Talisman, Dune McKee, and Doctor Sleep.
It was weird. I contemplated making the film version of Pet Sematary, the original, like 1988, 89 version. I love, other people hate, but it's not universally disliked. It's like a lot of people like it. Just didn't do
I love it
well when it came out, so I felt like that didn't count.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's one of the movies I saw at a young age that made me fall in love with horror.
Yeah, it's good.
And the sequel's good too.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean,
Edward
it's not
Furlong
the original, but it's fun. I mean, you get Clancy Brown with a fucking power drill.
No brain,
Anthony,
no brain.
Can I just add to this conversation that I'm kind of glad that I'm in this group, because I found out about that documentary, because I am one of those people that like, oh, it's about a movie, I'll check it out. It's like a making of kind of thing. And to find out it wasn't, I'm like, I'm so glad I never watched it. That's bizarre that your cousin sat you down to watch. Oh, watch this. This will convince you like how much I love the movie. That's like because I like Star Trek, being like, hey, Sean, let's watch the Star Trek movie. And then I'm going to watch it, since you're going to watch Trekkies with me, because you got to see the fan base. Like, what the fuck is that? That's bizarre.
Yeah.
That's a weird line of thinking.
Yeah, Ray, if I was trying to convert, a hater to, someone, loving The Shining the way I do, yeah, sitting them down and making them watch Room Tour 237 is the last thing that I would do.
Yeah.
I would suggest, before sitting them down, having them watch Room 237, I would have them watch 227, the sitcom with Marla Gibbs and Jack Hay. You've got a better chance of getting somebody to love The Shining watching that, right? Marla.
Man, amen. Oh, man.
All right, now I kind of want to try this and try like a couple episodes of 227 and then watch The Shining. Let's see how this goes.
You have a better chance, making somebody watch The Shining from Simpsons
Ah.
House of Horror.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Hey, double
I-
feature The Shining with
There
Leprechaun.
you go.
Don't be
Tell
reading me
us more
mind
to
between
burn
4 and 5.
things.
That's Woody's time.
I just had a quick story about when Sean and I first hung out, like for the first time, like outside of we had a mutual acquaintance, and I remember it was kind of like the first time we crossed streams, and it was like, hey, come over. We usually do double features at my place, so I
Oh,
go. The first time I'm like meeting everybody, on a different playing field, and I'm kind of sizing everybody up, and we've got Silver Bullet on, so everybody's having a good time laughing at Silver Bullet.
hey,
But this mutual acquaintance pushed for The Shining for the second one, and I'm like,
Oh God, that was right.
no. I go, it's this kind of crew. Ah, shit. And I'm sitting there in the corner, and I'm like, fuck, man. And the mutual friends like, just enthralled by what's happening on TV, and I'm watching everybody else in the room one by one nod the fuck off. And I'm like, this is
People fell asleep, or they left the room and started talking in the kitchen.
So as I'm leaving it, Sean's like, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know we were gonna end up watching that movie, and it just killed the whole fucking night.
It did, and I love that movie, and I fell asleep, and I remember
The
like
momentum of that night was so weird.
it is a thing. Like, the older I get, I got less and less of a window for The Shining in my day, right? Like it's
Not
just
the second double feature. Don't
it's
do that.
definitely not the second fucking double. It's just not gonna be. Yeah, it was not easy. Wow, I'm
Yeah.
glad you remember that. I knew we
Yeah.
did that, but I didn't remember what the first movie was.
Yeah, it was Silver Bullet.
Silver Bullet and Shining. Wow.
Yeah, odd.
Silver Bullet's so much fun too.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Shining is something I would not try to like convince someone to like.
I wouldn't even
You know
watch
what
it
I
with
mean?
other
Like-
people. I wouldn't watch it with other
Yeah.
people. Honestly, that's a movie where I sit down. If I'm going to watch The Shining, I'm going to again. Like I know it's been well over a decade since I've seen it, but it's going to be. I want to be left the fuck alone. I'm going to smoke a fucking fat ass fucking hog leg, turn off all the lights, and I want that Bartok Penderecki score. Because it was something as a teenager. I remember it was like me and my high school girlfriend like getting in the movies and like just getting fucking super baked. And that movie fucking pulled me right the fuck in and didn't let go.
Wendy
And
Carlos,
that's-
man,
Yeah.
fucking
Sean,
pioneer.
Interesting. I wouldn't recommend any double feature with that film, but one film that I think is a good companion piece with it is The Vanishing.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I could see
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's not maybe not like apparent at first, but like when you sort of think about how it moves your mind and how it sort of internally maps your mind, then it starts to make a lot more sense.
That's interesting.
Okay, you know how a minute ago we mentioned movies that are about movies being made.
Yeah.
The only one I'd recommend to all of you is Lost Soul, about Richard
Mm.
Stanley and fucking the island of Dr. Moreau. What
Yeah,
happened?
that one's good.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, totally.
The Road to
Totally.
Pet Cemetery is really good too. If you get around to that doc, it's pretty good.
Oh, I'd love to
Road.
see that.
Road
It's a
to
good one.
Pitch.
It was on Shutter. I don't know if
It
it's
was.
still
That's
is.
where I got it originally. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it still
It's
there?
like I don't know. It's old.
Let's
I
see,
remember
hold on.
when it dropped on Shutter. That was probably like 5 years ago because I was in my old apartment when I watched it.
I'll check it out.
It's like an hour and a half long. Like it's a good
Yeah.
one.
But very informative. It's a solid doc. I really enjoyed that one. I recommend that one definitely.
I don't think it's on there.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, Zelda still scares me.
What were some other people's picks?
Oh, I had a few runner-ups, but
What for hate or love? For hate?
for hate, The first film when this was first suggested, I knew it was horror only, but and this isn't horror, but the first thing that came to my mind was Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers.
Okay.
Understandable.
I
I can
hate
see
that. I absolutely hate that movie.
I don't like
It's
it.
you want to talk about a movie that insists on itself in like the worst way possible. Uh, uh, Another one, we've talked about this before on some previous episode. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, I don't
Oh
like.
God, so it's so awful. It's so awful.
Misery, I
It-
don't
It
like.
doesn't touch the 12-year-old mall goth in you, John.
Mm,
This fucking movie is
not even
fucking-
not even
I'm just kidding.
close. Not even remotely close.
I wish
Dark-
it would,
Dark
so I
Sh-
could
Dark-
bring Tim Burton up on charges.
Yeah, Dark
like-
Shadows does.
The first 45 minutes.
I tried watching Dark Shadows, and I
I
don't know
didn't even
why, because
bother.
I loved the fucking show in the 80s. And then I
Yeah.
watched that fucking abomination.
There you go. I didn't even bother.
I don't know why. I think I just hate myself, Watch these terrible things.
Anthony, runner up, love or hate?
Love or hate? The one I defend all the time is Evil Dead 2013. Like that one I'll defend a dying day.
Same.
Director's cut and theatrical, I think they're both fucking outstanding pieces. I really do say fuck you to anybody who says the movie sucks or that it's actually scary. like it's I like that it is what it is. As far as something I hate, I'd be hard pressed to sit down and think about stuff I hate. I like a bullshit, so it is what it is.
Back to the Future 2.
I don't hate Back to the Future. I really do. I don't know why. I fucking can't. I really hate Back to the Future.
Show me on the doll where
fucking-
Marty touched you, Anthony.
Nice.
With every bone in my body, I hate that fucking movie for sure. But yeah, as far as genre stuff, I mean, I'll watch a lot of
Fascinating.
bullshit, and I'll like a lot of bullshit. Like I like the Mangler 2.0, so it's fucking weird.
Hey, that's different. Those are cool.
I agree.
I had Malignant. I fucking hate Malignant.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right. That's so funny. I was just
Oh.
thinking about that movie, and I thought you were the other person that liked it because I
No,
feel like
I'm the
everybody
other
hated
person
it.
I liked it.
That's what.
I
Okay. Okay.
Hate that
I
movie.
think
I,
it's
I
a-
think
Fun piece of shit, but I think it's fun as fuck.
it's just a piece of shit. It had so like I liked the first 10 minutes. I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, oh, if I want to see an Evil Twin movie, I'll just watch the fucking Dark Half.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Oh, I
Interesting.
have Lake Mungo. Everybody loves Lake Mungo, and I was like, yeah, it's cool.
I've never seen that one.
It was
Your pick when we did it.
it's boring, and everybody's
Well,
like,
what's
it's so
that-
Yeah.
shocking.
Wait.
Yeah. We did an episode on it, Sean. It's the one where the girl goes
Oh yeah, that's
She goes
right.
missing.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
she does go missing.
I confuse it with Eden Lake, which I think is the movie that Anthony warned me against watching.
Oh, I want to see
Hmm.
Eden
Eden Lake
Lake.
is fucking awesome. Eden Lake's fucking outstanding.
Yeah, Eden Lake is
Guys, 200 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the 200 more.
oh yeah.
I love you guys. Thank you for embarking on this journey. And I'm gonna rewatch Exorcist 3 really soon because I'm always the one that's like, Sean, you're wrong. You're wrong. So what either happens is I'm like, I am wrong, or it just builds it strengthens my argument either way. But
I get put on the
Well,
I
list.
think you need to
No, I
rewatch
like-
it. And as you're rewatching it, any vitriol or anger you encounter, you just scream back at the screen.
no, I do that. I actually think I do that with that movie. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I do that.
I'm gonna
But-
get like a long text in the middle of the night.
No, you never,
Why?
never. I just wish they hadn't
Yeah,
put
what
that
does he
jump scare in the
mean?
commercial.
I mean, come on. I'm in the long text in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
Well, but yeah, but when you send me
Rare.
long texts, it's usually photos. It's like, of your, well, never mind. But anyway,
Oh,
so guys, we will reconvene soon and cover more good horror
Gooder.
goodness. Gooder horror goodness. But until then, I'm Sean.
I am Anthony the amputee.
I'm John.
I'm Missy.
I'm Ray.
I'm Tori.
And dog will hunt.
I'm
Uh,
like,
No.
I'm like, man, I haven't seen